Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Athletic Studio podcast. It is the new year, so Happy New Year to everyone listening.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Kate.
Very exciting. So keen to kick off the year with some good information in regards to just like how to get yourself back on track post-holidays to basically optimize your body and fitness. So I know during the festivities, it's really easy to let that slide. So yeah, we'll be chatting all things New Year's resolution goals. We've got some strategies that you can also implement today, Gordon's protocols, Kate's protocols, and some stuff in between.
Yeah, exactly. With these things, a lot of people will be thinking about it this time around. If they've had too many social meals, they feel a bit sluggish. Oh, what can I do straight away? Should I just stop eating and just...
Time people, I think, go from one thing to the next, like 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to guide you into how to just get on track straight away and not do crazy things. Like just get the momentum moving forward.
And I think that what's important is like different methods are going to work for different people.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, with this episode, it's more around, okay, like this is my mindset. This is what would probably match me. And depending on, what your particular goals are as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
First of all, Kate, how was your holiday?
Good. It was actually so lovely to take some time off. Went down to the peninsula, had some social time with friends, and just like switched off for a bit, which was really nice. The weather didn't really match, but it was good. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's good. We just stayed in Melbourne. I think we had my family come over for Christmas with Emily's family, my wife, and it was a good time. Good, obviously, spending time with them as well.
How's your training been? Nutrition, lots to go there. How was your Christmas day?
Yeah, no, training was still good. So I was still, getting in my sessions, my weight training sessions. I was still doing running coaching sessions with one of the PTs here, Fia, as well.
Yeah, you need to tell the listeners about how you went in your trials.
So my time trial. So I think I started with her in August, and I was doing like 2 sessions with her just at the track. So August, then we did our time trial in New Year's Eve. So we did 100 meters, 200 meters, and 400 meters. On 100 meters, I think I reduced my time by 1 and a bit seconds. And then 200 was probably, I think it was between 4 to 6 seconds. It was a lot. Yeah. But the big one was the 400, like 10 seconds off that.
Huge.
I would have been so unfit.
Fitness has improved for sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
I've gone from a sloth to a turtle. So
what's the plan now with the running?
Yeah. Oh, the funny thing, for the 400, when I was doing it, I felt, oh shit, like I'm not going to beat my time. It's so weird.
It's a long run.
Yeah.
Oh, at that pace.
And then I'm waiting for Fia, like after I finish, Fia's walking from the other side of the track because sometimes she just walks and follows me around depending on where I am. And she wasn't like, yeah, you hit a PB, or she didn't, like there was no body language. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit.
I've gone backwards.
Yeah, I know. But then she let me know and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah. Having those sessions helped offset the nutrition. So probably too many social meals. Like I like my Yum Cha, and my wife Emily, she's actually watching the podcast now. She's probably, she hates it. It's too
it's too heavy.
You can't have it too much. Yeah, exactly. I'm happy just to get back on track.
100%. It's a bit like that. I think everyone's in the same boat of just being like, all right, I've had my social time, but I'm keen to feel good again.
Yeah, cool. So this episode is probably relevant for myself too.
Telling things to the listeners and to ourselves. So kicking off with setting New Year's resolutions and goals.
Yeah.
What's your angle?
That's a good one. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that would be listening to this podcast, they would have already set some goals already. They're probably already a little bit goal driven and know what they're planning to do in the new year. I think what's more important is, what are the strategies to give you the support or hold you accountable to actually achieve those goals, and just breaking it down like step by step. For me, myself, wouldn't be like a weight loss goal, but it's more around like training performance goals and then let's say business goals, and just making sure that I don't burn out or fail between. What about yourself?
It's funny because this year I actually haven't set any resolutions. It's been like the first year that I've felt as though I've brought in good momentum from the previous year that I just want to continue through. I know looking back a few years past, I would set like these huge goals, and I think there's a time and place for it. But this year I just feel as though I just need to continue what I'm doing and just chip away. So I've got definitely some gym specific goals in terms of performance. And then just basically ticking off the days, making sure I'm consistent, making sure I'm happy, doing all the things that I'm usually doing. I just want to keep that momentum moving forward. So a bit different for me this year.
And I think another good tip is when it comes to New Year's resolutions, people think, oh, okay, I need to either not do something, like drop something or start something. Whereas if you should actually just replace the bad habit with a good habit, or if you're going to take on something new, let's say you've never been to the gym before and you want to start going to the gym, going to the gym should actually replace something as well. So then you're not overdoing yourself.
Yeah, I think it's, as we said before, easy to go from 0 to 100. So just making sure these goals are realistic. And if you can see yourself doing it in 3 months' time, then go for it. But I think if you don't see yourself doing it in 3 months' time, maybe you should reconsider it. But yeah, small steps towards them. You wanted to chat through some detox methods. Do you want to chat about that?
Yeah.
Share your wisdom with the listeners. Tell us what you're doing at the moment, actually.
Oh, look, I'll go into what I'm doing at the moment later in this podcast. But as I was saying before, with this time of the year, people are thinking about, okay, what can I do to get myself back into shape as fast as possible? I think the most important thing is get back into like your normal routine as soon as possible. If you identify yourself as a healthy person, then you're going to go and just continue those healthy habits as part of your identity anyway. Get yourself back into your healthy habits. But then let's say you're wanting maybe like a little bit of a kickstart. Then we'll just go over more of the popular methods of nutrition protocols and, see if they're relevant for yourself. I guess, Kate, what would your tips be? Let's say if one of your clients is like, hey, I feel like I need a kickstart or do something dramatic to get myself back on track. I'm sure you'd have a lot of clients that, like, not a lot, but there'll be someone.
You know what? A lot of people want to make it hard for themselves and like want to do the most crazy things. And I understand it. Like I was there a few years ago. I'd be like, what's the hardest thing I can do? Because I think that's going to work. Whereas I try and sway my clients out of that to be like, let's just, as you were talking to, just do the basics, get back on track. But if you wanted to go crazy, my suggestion, obviously your liver is the detox pathway in your body. So I don't really love any like detoxing, quote unquote. Yeah. But if you want to do something a little bit extra, I'd suggest go hit a sauna, drink heaps of electrolytes, do an ice bath. That kind of thing is what I would do, or go for a beach swim, stuff like that. That's actually like sustainable and you can actually get enjoyment out of. I wouldn't say don't go for like a marathon run. Let's just leave that back in 2020. Let's bring the wholesome things that we can actually maintain throughout the year. So I think like all those crazy fad diets or methods, I think that's very much in the past. So that's what I would suggest to my clients. But I know people like to do juice cleanses.
Not what I'm doing at the moment, Kate.
Well,
first, I think what's important is the mindset, right? So if you have a healthy relationship with food and you've demonstrated to yourself consistently for at least a year that you're not a yo dieter. Like for me, myself, like right now, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just putting my body just through an experiment and it's literally just for fun. Like,
fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone would call that fun.
Anyway, yeah. So I came across this juice cleanse and I'm like, I've never done one before.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what the fuss is all about. So I went onto Google, juice cleanse, and one of the most popular ones comes up. And it's actually, today's my first day actually. And I still feel great.
Thank God we're podcasting today, not tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. If I were podcasting tomorrow,
maybe another story.
Exactly. Probably a different story. For me, it's like I'm not attached to, okay, this cleanse or this juice cleanse. To me, it actually sounds ridiculous calling it like a juice cleanse because it's basically just a method of fasting, which we're going to go into as well, or a method of caloric restriction. But I don't have an attachment to losing weight. It's more of, I wonder how my body is going to feel after it.
Yeah.
And if I can actually do it for a couple of days. So if you can come at it from that perspective, then by all means, some of these methods can be quite good for you to try for a day or two. I wouldn't probably go any longer than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that healthy relationship with food and you haven't demonstrated it, I would definitely just recommend have whole food meals, go back into your normal training routine. And then after 1 week, 2 weeks, your body will actually go back to normal.
Yeah, I think people freak out as well and they feel as though they've put on weight because it's like they might get on the scale and it might be up, but it's a lot of, again, like we're eating, we're drinking, a lot of sodium, probably lack of sleep. People freak out and that's why they go to extremes. They're like, oh my God, I've put on 2 kilos. I've got to take it off quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas as you said, if you just get straight back into your routine, just give it time and consistency and you will you will just not put on that much body fat that quickly. Like in a week, you're not going to put on 2 kilos of body fat unless you've eaten a ridiculous amount. And it's 7,000 calories to, I think, 500 grams of body. No, is it a kilo? I want to say a kilo.
Yeah.
I have to fact check this.
Yeah.
But like 7,000 calories over in a surplus. That's a lot of food. So if you think of it like that, I doubt you would have eaten an excess amount of 14,000 calories in 2 weeks to gain that much body fat. Yeah. So it's just thinking it from a sane perspective and not acting out of emotion, I think.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be water retention, glycogen, and it's going to come off in a week or two.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stress about it.
Consistency is everything. Get back into it. Yeah, no,
And
crazy.
I think what you were saying before when you mentioned about the sauna, going for a swim in the ocean, you feel amazing. You feel super healthy straight
Feel good
after
stuff,
that anyway.
yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, okay, man,
Again.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to do a juice cleanse.
Exactly.
Why didn't you tell me to? I should have went to the sauna today, Kate. Instead,
Oh, goodness.
this is what
Next
it
time,
is. I've started it. I've got to just.
you got to commit
I've got
now.
to finish it.
That's it.
Yeah, I got a 3-day one, and then my plan is if I don't last tomorrow, I'm just going to give the other day to Emily, and I'll just go back to eating food.
I don't know if Emily consents to this. Do we want this, Em? She says no. She's shaking her head. You know what though?
I'll give it to the PT.
You can do. You can have like eggs and chicken and stuff.
Yeah,
as
of course.
well.
Yeah, I know.
Supplement.
That's true.
Get it in
What's
there.
the fun in that though, Kate?
Oh, I don't know what the fun in juice cleanse is at all.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the methods. All right.
Yep.
So these detox methods in quotation marks, they're all really a form of caloric restriction, as I was saying before. And there are some differences to some of the methods that we'll be talking about as well. First one, it's very common. A lot of people come into athletic studio when they're in their consultations is they do intermittent fasting. And then there's different methods for that. They could go, 8 hours, 16 hours.
Yeah. Some people even do 24 every now and then. It's hectic, but yeah.
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 Let's say if someone hasn't done intermittent fasting or doesn't know what intermittent fasting is, Kate, you want to give them a bit of an explanation?
Yeah. So basically what it is, it's basically in the name, but you're fasting for a time and then you're consuming food for a time. So basically it could be, as you said, fasting for 16 hours. So that just condenses your window of eating, which usually reduces calories. That's really what it is. If you're intermittent fasting and you're still eating the same amount of calories, then you won't see a shift in weight. But a lot of the time, because there's this restricted window, people are just like intaking less calories, which means that they're in a caloric deficit, which means that they're losing body fat. It's not the actual time of eating and not eating that's that magic trick. It's just, that condensed window and the lesser intake that makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think this would work for if they were, going to do it for like an athlete? Would it work for an athlete?
Absolutely not. An athlete would not be a good person to do intermittent fasting just because they do need the fuel. So it's if they're training in the morning, they would need glycogen in their muscles. Like it's really important to fuel them. So it would work for someone like, for instance, I find myself, I sometimes intermittent fast just accidentally due to the fact that we start at 6 a.m. and I might not get a break until 11 or 12 and I haven't eaten since the night before. And that is fine for me because I end up eating later. So it depends on your lifestyle and your work. It could be good for a shift worker. It could be good for an executive who has super busy mornings that are backed up and just doesn't have time to have a good nourishing breakfast. But yeah, there definitely are pros to it. But if you're someone that you find can often binge, I think that could be a negative because it is a form of restriction for sure because you're restricting for an amount of time. And then if you overeat, it's just really not going to get the benefits.
All right. So yeah, if someone's like training regularly, needs those calories to help their performance, intermittent fasting, it's probably not the most ideal. You won't see any professional athletes do this at all. But let's just say you do have that person who is like me, he's got a healthy relationship with food. Oh, I want to do this particular thing to get back on track in the new year. What would an intermittent fasting protocol, what would a good one for you look like? Because I know, for example, some people, they'll do intermittent fasting like 7 days, 5 days. And I know that when I had an unhealthy relationship with food and I actually went through the weight loss period, there was a good 6 month period, 3 to 6 month period, I'm not sure because it was a long time ago now, where there was this diet called just having a 1 meal a day. And I'd only have 1 meal a day. And I thought like, this is the best thing ever. This is the only way to do things. But then
how did you feel from that?
All
right.
I lost weight, but I wasn't fit. I wasn't strong. I didn't have good body composition as in muscle mass. Yeah. My lifestyle stress was completely different as well because I was working 9 to 5 when I was in my corporate job. I probably didn't have as many social events, but like I wouldn't recommend that, for example, for anyone.
Yeah, honestly, I think it just comes down to what works best for you. Like I know one of our PTs here, Michael, he does the 2 meals a day thing. That's literally just what works for him in his schedule.
Doesn't have breakfast?
No.
Okay.
Well, we can get him on the pod and talk to him about this. But for myself, like I probably don't eat until 10 o'clock most days. I don't finish eating till 8 o'clock. So that's usually like later than most people. So it's finding what works for you in your lifestyle because it is unrealistic for myself because I wake up at 4:50 every day. It's just not going to happen that I'm going to have breakfast and that's the last thing I want in the morning. It's coffee and out the door basically. So I wouldn't force myself to feed then. So I've trained my body to eat at 10 o'clock and then maybe a smaller feeding period, but I still get in a lot of calories and nutrients then. So I really think it just comes down to the person. If I had a 9 to 5, I probably would get up, go to the gym in the morning. So meaning I'd have breakfast earlier and then lunch at my work and whatever it may be. So it's just, I think, working with your lifestyle rather than against it.
Yeah, that's good. And obviously, if someone's coming from, if you've come from 2 weeks of holiday mode, then all you're really doing is just watching, I guess, the quality of your meals and the intake. Just making sure that you're just back into your normal routine. Yeah.
Like my biggest suggestion would be 3 nutrient dense meals a day and that are actually filling, like with a good source of protein, healthy fats and carbohydrates, and that should really sustain you for the day. If it doesn't, you probably need to look at your micronutrient intake to make sure you're actually getting in good color in your foods and that kind of thing, because I know during the holidays it's easy to just have like high fat, high carbohydrate foods, and they're delicious and great, but they're not super satiating long term, and they won't put you in that position to get that dream physique.
With intermittent fasting, there's plenty of ways you can do it. Have 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, fast for 6 hours, have your last meal at lunch, and then have breakfast the next day. Just going to base it around what works for you. And the next method, Kate, which is quite common, is your low-carb bootcamp, or what we call, or potentially an elimination diet. So Kate, would you maybe want to go through and discuss what the difference would be between a low-carb bootcamp and an elimination diet?
Yeah, so in terms of lowering carbs, you could see this, a lot of people do this amongst the general population. We would never recommend it to athletes, but there is a time and a place for things like this. With our clients, we would just say, if they're coming off the back of a festive season, they're not really sure where to start, we would probably focus on basically number one being protein intake, just so they can reap the benefits of their energy, restoring muscles after training and everything like that, making sure that they're shifting their focus to micronutrients. Looks like a lot more color in their diet rather than going for the leftovers in the fridge from the festive season, which usually leans towards the higher carbohydrate foods. An elimination diet looks like removing sensitivity foods.
Common food sensitivities. So things could be dairy, gluten, deep fried foods, trans fats, refined sugars. They're obviously common. You still have them in your diet, but we're talking specifically for, all right, if someone has the mindset and they've got the ability to experiment with these particular things, right? So with the elimination diet, how they do that is they'll start having more paleo foods, like whole foods, and foods that are hunted, gathered, fished and plucked. They might do that for 7, 10, 14 days, seeing how their body responds, and then slowly start to include those foods back in. The low carb bootcamp works similar because then there's removing a macronutrient source, but ultimately they both work the same in that you're going to have less glycogen, less water retention, which you can still achieve by just having your normal healthy meals and waiting it out for a longer period of time.
I think it's more so the instant gratification, like maybe that people that need to do this want like a big boost of confidence or a boost of momentum moving forward. All right, then get back into the normal thing, because it's definitely not something we'd recommend doing long term. Yeah,
100%. There are times where I've implemented some of these protocols for clients, and only when they're ready for it, but I keep a close eye on them or let them know, hey, you're only doing this for 7 days and then we're going to go back to eating normal. And that might be for that someone who needs that kickstart and they're like, okay, I'm ready to do it. Because also, if I have a client and they want to do that, or if you have someone like they want to do it and they just want to experiment with it, sometimes they just got to learn from their own lessons as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of trial and error. But yeah, just making sure that you're doing it for the right reasons.
That's the most important part. You just got to do it for the right reasons and know that these things can, if you need that motivation boost, it can help, because technically you're doing something new and you're doing something fun. That's why people go diet hopping from different diets, because, oh shit, I get to try something new. It's a game, or it's when people try and go to different group training classes. Technically they're all subpar, but because they get to try something different, because they get to try something
how you
different.
really feel?
Yeah, well, just got to lean into the strengths of Athletic Studio. Yeah, because they get to try something different. It gives them that quick dopamine. Quick hit.
Yeah, keep the momentum going forward. Yeah, time and place for sure.
That's right. The proof is in the pudding. The science is the science. And what's ultimately going to help you get to your goal is being at a calorie deficit, eating healthy meals, you're still having your protein, fats and carbs, and having a healthy routine in regards to weight training and strength training as well. If you want to give these particular things a go, I wouldn't recommend any longer than 1 to 3 days if you're giving it a go. So Kate, next thing I wanted to share with you what I'm always conscious of if I'm in the mindset of I need to get myself back on track as soon as possible. If you want to have a protocol, then you always want to just support your liver because that's the main detoxer in your body. If you want to support that, first of all, you're going to look at training and nutrition. I think there are a couple of things that you mentioned there before. Training, going into the sauna, is going to help you sweat a little bit. So those are things you can do extra. Then with nutrition, if you actually go to Google and just type in liver detoxification pathway, you'll see the nutrients that you need for pathways 1 and 2. You are going to get that from normal food alone, right? So you're going to get that from your proteins and your fibrous vegetables. But then later on, some supplements that I might take could be your normal magnesium supplement. It could be a gut health supplement. What we have is GI Revive from Designs for Health. With GI Revive, it has zinc carnosine in there, which can help heal the gut as well. Zymgest, which is a digestive enzyme. If people have come from a period of eating too much food, then it can help them digest their foods. And if you want to take supplements, then a vegan protein shake or amino acids, and that covers your protein source as well. It's not a necessity to take all of them, but with magnesium and a protein shake and amino acids, I take them all throughout as well. Do you do anything special?
The protocols that I would recommend are hiring a coach, first of all. If you're not sure where to start, look for a good coach, whether it be like an online coach, face-to-face coach, if you need some guidance. But personally, for me, just as I said before, momentum moving forward is the biggest key. So like throughout the holidays, I don't stop training. I maybe reduce it, but that means when I want to get back into it a little bit more, I can increase my sessions. Prioritizing recovery is important. As we said before, going to do things like a sauna or a beach swim both helps you, like your mind and your body, and to feel good. Setting goals for direction just to keep you on like a straight track to make sure you're getting towards where you want to be. Matching that with your why as well. Making sure you're doing this for the right reasons and that you can follow this quote unquote protocol not only now but into the future for sure. And making sure you're consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. And waking up and just doing your rituals, for me, that's getting to the gym, going out and getting some fresh air, eating nutrient dense meals, having 3 big meals that prioritize protein a day, and drinking a lot of water and electrolytes. Keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple.
Yeah, just the simple stuff every day.
Yeah, I think yours is like a lifestyle protocol.
It is life. Yeah, it is. You would
the lifestyle protocol.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think when you do it from that perspective, it's attainable. So that might not be for everyone, but maybe if you do one of those things, that would be of benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. And specifically for the people who are listening, if they wanted to do those more restrictive diets for those shorter 1 to 3 days, just from a training perspective, would you recommend for them to still go at that higher intensity, or is there anything that they should expect in that period of time?
I would definitely recommend decreasing intensity. I think especially if you're doing things for like a juice cleanse, it's recommended not to train. Good.
Yeah.
So maybe like light walks and strolls and stuff like that is fine. But yeah, if you're doing these kind of 1 to 3 day more extreme things, then you're probably not going to be having the energy to exert yourself all that much. You're already in a calorically restricted state just through food. So I think adding extra energy output could be detrimental. Always listen to your body. I think that's a good time maybe to prioritize recovery instead. Yeah,
maybe I should put a health disclaimer on the start of this one. Even me just going through this, I call it a fun experiment because I've got the stress tolerance to be able to do it. This particular juice cleanse, I'm not training over the next 3 days. I think I'm just going to be super lazy. Like normally I'd even go for a walk, but now I'm second guessing that. I'm not even going to go for a walk. And then later on, then when I start eating more food, then I'll slowly start ramping up my training to coincide with that. When people do these things, it's super important not to go from 0 to 100, just not eat and then start training to the maximum. You're just going to burn out.
Yeah, you're not going to feel well.
Not enjoyable. So I think it's good because then you've got 2 approaches, right? If you do want to experiment and if you do need a little bit of a kickstart, then you've got those particular ideas to go and do. But also what's more important is Kate's approach and recommendations and mine too, is you want to get back to your normal healthy eating and training. And then after a week or 2, you're going to be back on track.
Yeah, you're going to feel so good. Just do it for the feeling, right?
Oh, 100%.
I know it's easier to not feel super motivated to get to the gym after you haven't for a while. Like the first session is going to be a little bit rough, but get there, show up and think of the end result. Like you're going to feel really good. Yeah.
And if you've plateaued with your training at the end of last year and Kate was saying, get yourself a coach, highly recommend it. That way you can set some new training goals, have someone like tell you what to do or where you should be at as well. Having someone tell you what to do is going to be so much easier.
Yeah.
That alone might even be the kickstart that you need. It doesn't need to be anything like drastic as well.
Definitely.
Anything else, Kate?
No, I think just in summary, take what we've said with a grain of salt in terms of the extreme stuff. But I think, really it's better to get started today than tomorrow. So I think doing it sooner rather than later is the best approach, and do something that you can see yourself doing in 3 months. Alrighty guys, that wraps up our first episode back in 2024. So thank you very much for listening. You guys know you can follow us on socials at Athletic Studio, and we'll chat to you in our next podcast.
Thanks guys.
Bye. If you found this episode useful, it would mean the world to us if you shared, rated, and liked this podcast. It's how we keep it alive.
Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Athletic Studio. We would love to connect with you and see how your fitness and health improves with this newfound knowledge. Until next time.